I read a story about Jacob, who's an Eastern European Jew. He had prospered professionally, married a non-Jew, had a son. Then came World War II and the deportation of the Jews. His Jewish identity was not widely known, and because of his marriage with a non-Jew, he thought he might be protected and not recognized, sent to prison camp. But one day as he returned from work, to his horror, he saw the Gestapo waiting for him. They grabbed him and led him off to the train. His mind was dazed. What just happened? How did this happen? Who betrayed me? Who told? As they were dragging him away, he cried out to one of the soldiers, "Please, sir, let me have a moment to embrace my wife one last time." The soldier laughed grimly. "You fool. Don't you know it's your wife who turned you in?" "No, you're lying to me. You're lying to me," cried Jacob. "She would never do a thing like that." The soldier got into his face and said, "Dear sir, you're the only one that doesn't know she's having an affair with the chief of police." Jacob spent the next 5 years in prisons, several times nearly dying. The bitterness and despair that filled him was only a reminder that he was still alive. One thing occasionally gave him a flicker of hope. Someday, if I survive this, I will see my son. At the end of the war, he made his way home, only to find out that his wife and son had left and no one knew where they were except that they were somewhere in northern Europe. He was physically ill, emaciated, desperately hungry, and penniless. He begged a few days in the very park where he used to give the beggars change. He was arrested for loitering, and finally they decided they were going to just ship him off back to Israel. They didn't want him there. They shipped him to Israel because he had family there. Shows up at his brother's house. His brother doesn't recognize him, doesn't believe it's him, believes he's a fraud trying to take advantage of him. He says, "No, you are not allowed around here." Jacob ends up on a park bench in Israel, laying down. Just a couple of days later, he's disturbed by the voice of a young girl who bends over him and says, "Sir, I got off on the wrong stop on the bus. As I see you laying here, I am compelled to tell you Jesus loves you." You see, each one reach one is not new with us. It's been around for a few years. And it's going to be around until Jesus comes. Jacob says that one line was enough to set him in a direction. It was the first compassionate words he had heard in 6 years. And through that interaction, he got connected with a family who gave him a start. He returned to work, was reconciled with his brother. To this day, he's never seen his son. But author and speaker Rebecca Rippert tells of the time that she's met Jacob. She says, you can't ever forget the expression on Jacob's face. He's so happy. He's praising God. He praises God for his creation and for his recreation, for his redemption, for saving him. This is a man who went through the prison camps, who's lost his son, betrayed by his wife. And she says, this is Rebecca Rippert, I can never forget the expression on Jacob's face. He praises God. And then he says to her, you want to know what I'm going to do when I get to heaven? No, come on, tell me. He says, I'm going to go around and I'm going to serve people. Whatever they need, water, I'm going to get people, everybody water. And I'm going to just tell them how good God is. And you know what? I believe he'll do that.